myself. Nigel?
This dynamic is always so interesting.
To baseball, Mr. Tony, the Washington Nationals back at 500 after a 6-3 win over the Colorado Rockies. They spotted the
Lots of hits, 10 hits, lots of hits.
Spotted a 2-0 lead, but came back with 4 runs in the third. Victor Robles had 3 RBIs. Patrick Corbin is your winner. He's now 2-0, struck out 6.
Got some breathing room in the ninth.
Yeah.
Got some breathing room there because you don't want to turn it over.
The bullpen did an okay job this time.
You want to be sure. Did you watch that game?
I did not watch. We were celebrating Liz's birthday with a lovely dinner, but no.
Where did you go?
We went to a nice little French neighborhood bistro called La Piquette.
And I've been there, right?
Cathedral
I love
Commons.
La
French
Piquette.
for the
I've been
piquette.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite places.
Why was I
had
there?
one of the better
was that
starters
a
that I've
Christine
had in
Brennan
a
thing?
long time.
That
Yes.
was Brennan, right?
Yeah.
And Bill Isaacson was there too.
Which
that was
starter
Brennan.
did you have?
I had the cooked down mushrooms in a butter garlic
Never had that.
shallot sauce.
They have, in the spring and summer, the best soft shells I've ever had in
Really?
my life.
How do they
Yes.
cook them?
Meuniere, butter.
Yeah.
Sauteed,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't fry those things.
We're open too at Chatter.
Yeah, right.
that's a
with
great restaurant.
13 television sets.
That's a really.
Right.
But that is a.
I'm not going there to watch the Caps watch party.
Okay.
Speaking of hockey, 2 series finished up last night. The Boston Bruins defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs for the second year in a row in Game 7. The score of this one was 5-1, although it was much closer than that. A couple of late goals put that one away. And the San Jose Sharks took out the team that was in the finals against the Caps last year, the Golden Knights of Las Vegas.
So let's get to these games because Wilbon and I had to talk about these yesterday, and I don't know much about hockey. I picked the winning teams because they were both at home, and I thought home probably matters in a Game 7 and doesn't matter in most other places. Okay. The Boston game was 3-1 in the second, and so I got out of that. Boston has beaten this team, had beaten going into this game, Game 7s in 2013 and 2018. So you said to yourself, a lot of those players are the same players. I'm going to roll with Boston on this. The San Jose game this has not ever happened. Vegas was up 3-0 in that game into the third period. 3-0. That game's over.
Yeah.
That never happens in hockey. They got pushed to overtime. There was a misconduct penalty, a 10-minute major, and they had a 5-minute major rather, and they were able to get 2 goals at that point. But
A questionable 5-minute
yes,
major. Yeah.
yes, and
Very questionable.
It ends up 4-3 in overtime. I was betting on San Jose because Martin Jones.
5-4 in overtime. So the Sharks down 3 got a 5-minute major where you don't get the guy back.
Right.
In that 5 minutes, they scored 4 goals to go up 4-3.
They scored 4 goals in 5 minutes?
Yes, less than 5 minutes.
That's unbelievable.
Vegas, with the goalie pulled, scored to even it up with like 40
To go to
seconds left in the
overtime.
game. And in overtime, San Jose.
This
wins
result
the game.
is such an anomaly. I would say that this never happened before in the history of the NHL. The way you're describing it, the
Right.
4 goals.
I think that is correct.
It's never happened before. This is absolutely amazing. I was betting on San Jose because Martin Jones had saved 88 of his last 91 shots against, including 55, I think, on the road in Game 6.
Yeah, a game they won with a shorthanded goal
Yeah,
in the second
it just-
overtime. The last 2 games of that series were unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Again, not knowing much about hockey, I can't go on and on and on. I assume that we will talk about this at some point in the PTI show today. But that is it's actually non-believable result.
That's stunning.
4 goals in 5 minutes.
I mean,
in a play, what?
3-0 with 11 minutes left in a
It's
hockey game
over.
is over
It's
99 out of
over.
100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't win. So okay.
Caps tonight.
Caps tonight.
I don't know where to see it. but-
Yeah. If there was
You
only
see
a
it here,
place.
Chad.
Oh, you guys going to have a watch party here?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have TVs. We have 13 TVs.
Well, they have a great history in Game 7s at home.
Caps.
Oh, yeah.
It's not good.
I believe.
Yeah, actually, I would like to ask the because I'm not.
They didn't go to
I looked it
7
up.
last year, right? They didn't have any 7s last year.
I don't think they did.
I don't think they had 7s.
I think that's correct.
6 was the closest.
Yeah.
6
with
against Columbus, 6
I-
against.
They didn't get to
6
a
against
7. What
Pittsburgh,
is
I
their
think.
record? It can't be good.
At home, 3-8.
This is their
That's
this is
really
their
brutal.
12th
No.
Game 7 since 2008, which is more than anyone in the league.
That's 3 and
That's
8
a lot
at
of
home
sevens,
is
right?
really
Are you
bad.
feeling?
I remember that Rangers game.
Oh, that was
5
awful.
nothing Rangers
Oh,
game.
that
at
was
home.
so
And it was
awful.
a-
And just to be preemptive here, there's no bringing it back. Like, even if they blow the 2-0 lead and lose this series in Game 7 at home, there's no bringing back the choking dogs, or is there?
No.
Right.
They won
They
the
buried
Stanley
They won
Cup.
the Stanley Cup.
They won the Stanley Cup.
Did you see
Yes.
Holtbeat's comments about the ice down in Carolina?
They says it's bad ice.
Bouncy
That
ice,
soft,
bad ice.
That soft Carolina ice.
Can't
Yeah.
clear the puck.
Yeah, I didn't see those.
Well, they couldn't clear the puck.
What else we got?
That's for sure.
Robert Kraft video, it looks like it's going to be suppressed for at least a little while longer.
Good.
The circuit judge has
Good. I
ruled
wanna see it.
that the right of Robert
We're
Kraft
not
to have
having a watch party for that.
No, no, yeah.
We're not.
Burn after viewing?
I don't want to see it.
It's basically, if they'd released the video, it would have prevented, it would have tainted the jury pool and prevented Robert Kraft from having a fair trial. So either that trumps the right of people, to, and the public to be aware of everything. I think it's the First Amendment. right he's talking about.
Can I ask why the public has a right to see that to begin with?
Well, I just think the prosecution's using it as leverage.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, just
Because he
you
wouldn't-
play ball,
Dangling
you,
it.
you come
Yeah.
and plea,
Just plead.
or this is hit in the air.
I mean, are there no privacy rules on stuff like that? Are there, well, more than privacy, is there not just some decency rule?
Well, there's definitely no
I don't
decency.
want to have to
No
see
decency.
that.
Yeah.
There's no
Robert
privacy
Kraft.
and there's no decency, and it's just a matter of time before somebody gets their hands
Yeah,
on
that's
that
you're
tape.
gonna
Do
see
you think
that
it's going to
video.
be on the Today Show? Because I don't.
No, but it'll be on,
TMZ.
yeah.
Everything's on TMZ.
Right.
There is a separate hearing going on. Another circuit judge ruled that attorneys for the spa owner and employee could subpoena a gossip website to ask about its report that it was approached by some people that said, "Would you like to purchase this video?" So there's all sorts of
That
yeah.
doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. And melancholy at me trails, Mr. Tony. Henry Block has passed away. You might not know who he is, but you do know who he is.
You do.
H&R Block.
Yeah, he is the founder. He and his brother are the founders of H&R Block, which was a brilliant idea that has helped tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people over the last X amount of years with their taxes. Because taxes are hard. And most people, myself included, have no idea how to do taxes. And not everybody can afford a fancy accountant. And these were walk-in stores. And I'm sure there have been over the years some complaints, but I would venture to say that the appreciation is far greater than the complaints because they're still in business over some long period of time, and they have proliferated over some long period of time. Now, I know that there are people out there who believe that anybody now who makes money is a criminal, and should be taxed at a 98% tax rate because they're
Three
all
initials
criminals.
in particular.
Yeah, they're all criminals. But the fact of the matter is, they built a better mousetrap. They did. This is American entrepreneurship, and they did it better. Now, what he is known for on our side of the street, the sports side of the street, was he's a lifelong Kansas City resident. He was rejected from membership at the Kansas City Country Club, a place that Michael and I have both played because your roommate in college is a member. Dean is a member, right?
Yep.
And it was widely believed at the time in 1990 that he was denied membership because he's Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, Tom Watson, one of the most famous Kansas City residents in sports, if not the most famous Kansas City resident, he was a member his whole life. He walked out on the club because of that. Because at the time he was married to a girl named Jennifer Rubin, I believe. Now they both since got in, and they're there. What is the distinguishing factor when you play golf at Kansas City Country Club?
You must wear mid-calf socks.
So
No
odd.
short socks.
It's so odd.
Mid-calf
That's-
socks.
Yeah. You got to
It's
wear
a lot.
real.
No shorter
Tube
than
socks.
mid calf.
Correct.
Right? You
Big
can come
tube
up to
socks.
just below the knee if you want.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you wear a thigh high?
So I'm not, I've
Just
been
for the wine
around
and
Tom
dine.
Watson, and every once in a while, Tom Watson is a very smart guy, Stanford guy, but lets you know he's smarter than you very quickly in any sort of a conversation. But to me, that was really heroic.
What was interesting about that obituary to me was that Block really, the whole business became more successful when the IRS ended its free tax preparation services. I was like, when did that happen?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that at all.
I don't remember
And it also
that.
coincided, I think, not coincidentally, with the what's the opposite? With sort of the complication of the tax code, which has
Right.
continued to just get crazier
Well, now-
and crazier.
and now
I mean, the
you
fact
see
of the matter
things-
is, the federal government could just send you a bill every year. I mean, they know what you make in most cases. They could just say, "Send us this money."
So they have
But-
now they have things like TurboTax. Now they have all of these online things. I don't know what the future is for H&R Block, but that was that was a better idea.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it's as revolutionary as Henry Ford. I'm not. But again, you
it's
know,
withstood the test of time.
these are good. These are actually good ideas.
There was a need, and he fulfilled that need for
Yeah.
people.
I know Elizabeth Warren. I know what she's thinking. That I'm thinking something different.
Rage.
Yeah, I'm thinking these are good ideas, and they resulted in people making money. I don't know why that's bad.
So the deal with like the turbo tax
Yeah, I
and
don't-
those of their ilk now, like they have sort of free things that you can use or
well,
cheap
they
things
say
you can
they
use.
say you can
But-
call up and get an accountant online. I don't know.
But what they will do is they'll crunch your numbers and say, "Oh, Gene, you're entitled to a $700 refund for $699. We'll show you how you can get it." So they will sort of hold you
well, they
up.
have to make some
That's-
money.
Well,
I mean,
they sell their basic service and then
I
they
don't
sort
think
of.
you can begrudge people for
don't know,
offering you
man.
a product to consume and then wanting to make money.
No,
It's not the Red Cross.
That you are paying them for their service,
Right.
And then they are saying if you want the really good service that can get you money
More.
back, you
Yeah.
got to pay. To me, it seems a
Well, a
little.
lot of people will
sleazy.
take your
I
accident
disagree.
case for 33%.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people take a lot of different
That's
cases
true.
for 33 to
That's true.
50%, right? I mean, that happens. And by the way, that's more money than you would have made if you didn't know what you were doing.
I just hired Billy Litz. He takes care of me at SnyderCon.
That's
Little-
your accountant.
Yeah. Yeah. Why
I have an
not?
accountant.
Right?
My college friend has been my accountant all these years.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
I've
No,
got an
it's a good
accountant.
idea, huh?
His name's Enrico Ponzi. He's terrific. Yeah, I should introduce you to him.
So we'll take a break and we'll come back.
Did you want an update on the Bunny Man?
Oh yeah, what happened with that? I saw
Well,
that. I
yes,
saw that
I'm
video.
sure a lot of our audience saw the video of a man dressed in a bunny suit on Easter Sunday in Orlando, punching the
Beating
life out of somebody.
down.
So we want to know what the story is behind this. Well, it was Antoine McDonald was walking around with friends, and they were taking turns being in the bunny suit.
Okay.
And when it was his turn in the bunny suit, they looked across the street, and there was a man and a woman getting into some kind of fracas, and they saw the man spit on the woman, and then punches started to get thrown. So Antoine rushed across the street. He said, not even worrying about whether there was traffic or anything like that, tried
Because
to
he's wearing a bunny suit. People are going to stop.
one would think.
Yeah.
One would think. So he got in. He tried to break up the fight, but then the bloke started throwing punches at him. So then, as you
he
can see on the
pounded that
video,
guy.
Antoine clearly has been taking. I think this is.
But I don't
somebody
know. But
comment-
is he wearing furry hands so the
Oh, yeah.
punches won't hurt as
He
much?
is, but he's also got that bunny head on, so that's going to help
Yeah, it's going
him
to
as
it's
well.
gonna soften the blows.
Yeah.
But yes, he is. He clearly wins this fight on points.
Yeah.
I think we would all agree.
This is an Avengers spinoff for sure. Don't you think?
Absolutely is.
Probably.
But now there's more to the story.
Oh, really?
Yes. Now we find out the Tampa Bay Times is reporting that Antoine McDonald is not only a Florida man, we would classify getting in a fight in a bunny suit as a Florida man, but he's also a fugitive from New Jersey. With
Oh,
a criminal-
no. Oh,
really?
Yes. The article states criminal records show McDonald is one in New Jersey in connection with vehicle burglary and was arrested in Delaware for armed robbery.
Oh, snap.
Oh.
So much for Good Samaritan.
No good
He
deed.
never
No
could
good
have
deed
thought
goes
that he'd be
unpunished.
identified in a bunny suit.
Yeah, well, there you go.
That's great. That's a good story. All right, we'll be back. Old Guy Radio, and the reason Bill Isaacson is here is because he wants to hear my theater reviews. I went to 2 plays last weekend, regular plays, not musicals.
Yeah, the one about Danny Ferry, right?
The Ferryman and Burn This, and I will be back to talk about that when we return. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
This is the Tony Kornheiser Show.
This is Old Guy Radio for the day. In truth, I'm not hearing it. It's Del Shannon and Runaway, and I would play Del Shannon and Runaway any chance I got because for me, that is the beginning of rock and roll on a lot of
I love
levels
that
for
song.
me, right? But we're not hearing it because we're in monaural sound and not stereo sound. And so as you are hearing it now, it's because after the show was completed, Nigel put this back in. We are playing Del Shannon for what we don't need a reason, but we probably do have a reason.
Yes, on this date in 1961, this song hit number 1.
So that's 58 years ago, Jeannie.
61.
Yeah.
It's,
Now-
it's a great song.
It is.
Runaway is a great song.
Now, the story
Tom
behind it.
Petty references this
Yeah,
song.
on Running Down a Dream.
Yeah.
Yes. So Del Shannon, whose real name is Charlie Westover,
Really?
yes,
I didn't know that.
was in a band with a keyboard player by the name of Max Crook. The band was called Charlie Johnson and the Big Little Show Band. And they were from Battle Creek, Michigan, and they won a recording contract in 1960. And then that's when Westover changed his name to Del Shannon. And they
What a cool name to pick. Del
Yeah.
Del
Shannon.
I believe it's Irish for of Shannon.
Yeah.
right. And so they went to the studio to record this song, and it did not go well. In the meantime, Crook had played around with this keyboard and invented something called a Musitron or a Maximilian. And so the engineer said, why don't we come back in the studio, re-record it, and feature that,
which
that
is-
keyboard,
yeah.
and which is obviously prominent in the song, and the rest is history. It became a #1 song.
I think Del Shannon had a couple of other hits. One was called Hats Off to Larry.
I like that
Yes.
song
But
too.
nothing else in Del Shannon's life matters. This is Runaway matters, right? I mean, it's a big deal song.
It was.
According to Wikipedia, #1 in Australia, Canada, Chile, 2 in Ireland, 2 in the Netherlands, 1 in New Zealand, 4 in Norway, 1 in the UK, of course, 1 in the US.
I think he committed
That's impressive.
suicide, didn't he?
They did.
I didn't know that.
Yes, no, I believe he did.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, no, I had no idea. That song's great.
It is great.
All right, so let me get to this whole deal about going to these plays. Again, these are not musicals. These are
God.
straight plays. And in the last 5 to 10 years, I've seen a few straight plays, and often because Bill Isaacson, who is here, says you should go see this play. This is a good play. And my feeling about it, and the plays have been good, but they tend to fall into a very specific category, which is they are plays of, they're funny, but they're plays of sadness and familial dysfunction. And they sort of devolve down. All the characters have flaws. You see their flaws. They wonder if their family is going to accept them or not.
And we don't have to pay money to see that.
And
I mean,
they're
that's-
right, and they become as good as they are, and they're Tony Award-winning plays. They become depressing to me. I'm not saying they're not funny. I'm not saying they're well acted. I'm saying they're of a type, and they become depressing to me. So I was anxious to see these other two plays. The reason I wanted to see Burn This was because Kerry Russell was in it. I knew that it was a revival. I knew it had come out originally in the 80s. I read that John Malkovich was in it, and that was apparently his soaring debut as an important actor. And Adam Driver was going to play that role. I knew nothing about the play, absolutely nothing, other than Kerry Russell was going to be in it. And I will say to you, it's very, very funny. It's very funny. I suspect that in the 1980s when it came out, and it is essentially the story, there were these 3 people who lived together. Kerry Russell is a dancer and a choreographer, and she lives with these 2 other guys, both of whom are gay. They are not together, but they're gay. The one of them dies. He's never in the show at all. His name is Robbie. He dies, which sets everything else in motion. And he was a dancer of consequence. And Kerry Russell's very upset to find out, hates the funeral, and very upset to find out that nobody in his family even knew that he was a dancer. All right, so this sets a lot of things in motion. The language in it is very specific. It's very funny. I'm sure in the 80s it was scandalous. The language alone and the topic of the play alone was scandalous. Not so much now. There's hardly anything that scandalizes us now because of the last 30, 40 years that we've gone through. So it's a very funny play, but it is dominated. I cannot use this word strongly enough. Dominated by the presence of Adam Driver. Adam Driver is Wilt Chamberlain in this play. He's a big dude.
Yes, he is.
He's big and he's thick. It's not just lanky. He's a big, thick guy. He comes in. He's the brother of the dead dancer. And he comes in. He's a hurricane. I mean, when the first act ends and he's not in the beginning of the second act, you go, where's Adam Driver? Because Adam Driver, you cannot take your eyes off him. He's very physical. The acting is very physical. He weeps. He laughs. He takes his clothes off. He just overpowers everybody. And Kerry Russell is small.
Yeah.
She's like 5'1" or 5'2", and it eventually it is the story of their romance. And you go, because when he walks on stage, you go, man, call the police. Get this guy out of here. This guy's crazy. This guy's crazy. So, and I liked it very, very much.
Cool.
I enjoyed myself very much. 4-character play. It's very funny. And it's Adam Driver is dominating. At the end of the play, I had the great treat of being able to go backstage and see Kerry Russell.
See your good friend Kerry
See
Russell.
Kerry Russell, who claimed, I mean, Bill arranged this whole deal, claimed to know me because I was on the Americans for
Well, she's
3
met you.
seconds.
Yeah, you met-
She
yeah,
has
that's
met
it.
me. That was a
Claim
few
to remember
years-
that?
She remembered your line.
Claimed, no. She claimed to remember me, and there's a story about a friend of hers I believe his name is Scott Speedman, and he's a big fan of PTI, and he informed her who I was, and this, that, and the other
sure.
thing.
Yeah,
so
Scott
anyway,
Speedman, yeah.
I get to see her. She is, I would describe her as a tremendously profane whirling dervish. I mean, she's like,
kind of lady.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
She was fantastic. Now, what I wanted to talk to her about was, and I did say about Driver, and she said, you know, he lives in my neighborhood. He's really big. You know, there are some very funny things in the play where he's putting on her little kimono and he can't get his arms through it.
Fat
and
guy in little coat.
It's very good. But I wanted to talk to her about The Americans. I called Gene last night about this, and I said, have you ever seen The Americans? And please say what you said to me.
I said, I'm the one who told you about the Americans.
You actually said, her exact words were, are you brain dead?
And then you proceeded to tell me about the ferryman, and I reminded you that last
that was
November
also
I
your
sat in this
recommendation.
very chair and told you to go see the ferryman.
So I have no...
I mean, clearly you do not
no
listen to
admitting.
me.
So
You
we're
just
talking-
tuned
Michael,
me
can we
out.
call Ingleside after the show?
So I did say to her,
dial
I
or
went
during.
over with her how much I loved the last show, particularly when her daughter Paige got off the train in Vermont. I didn't see that coming. We talked about that, and I said, and I wondered, did you in the script, did you think you would be killed? You and your husband would be killed. Philip and Elizabeth would be killed. And we talked about that, and then I went through all the great murders that she committed.
Remember that
over the
time?
years. And I
The
said,
That was awesome.
The suitcase.
my favorite murder was when, I think it was in season 3 or 4, some guy's working on his car.
Oh, yeah.
And then a car falls on his head.
Kicks the jack.
And she said, yeah, that was one of the really good ones. I said, you must have killed 15 people in the last season. He said, well, I haven't counted. So we
Sounds
had,
like such a fun conversation
it was
for her.
for me. Well, not for her.
Did she call you Tony or did she call you Mr. Kornheiser?
She didn't know who I was. But I was so happy. That made me so very happy.
that's phenomenal.
And I went back to the hotel very happy. The next night, I see The Ferryman. The Ferryman is an entirely different kind of play. It is not a limited character play. There are over 20 people in this play, and every single person in that cast has something written for them that's good.
Wow.
They're not just killing time.
Correct.
The Ferryman is great. The Ferryman is...
Have you seen it, Gene?
Yes.
The Ferryman is Shakespearean, and it's biblical, and it deals with large themes. It is also, surprisingly, because you're not going to believe this, very funny.
Yes.
Extremely funny for most of it, not so funny at the end. It starts out, and there is the portent of something ominous going to happen, which happens. It starts out, you're sitting in your seat. It's about 10 or 12 minutes before the curtain is supposed to go, and a guy comes on stage. And he's a hulking sort of guy. And he's got a beer in his hand. Drinks some of the beer, lights a cigarette, looks to his left eventually. Another sort of hulking guy comes on stage. And he's got an envelope.
And it's kind of like they're in a back alley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's got an envelope, and he puts the envelope down. And you know this is part of the play, but you don't know.
Curtain
you
is
don't-
drawn, though, right? I mean,
There's
they-
no,
Yeah.
yes, you cannot, it's not open. We're
Right.
not open for business yet. And then that leads into what this play is about. And what this play is about, again set in the 80s, in that period of time where the Irish Republican Army is killing everybody British they can find in Northern Ireland. And they are at war. It's an undeclared war, but it is a war. And the themes, I wrote some of them down, the themes of revenge, themes of justice, themes of weakness, of family, of love that is hidden, of love that is unrequited, of love that is existing. It's got the River Styx references, it's got banshees, it's got seers in it.
It's got a
the-
live goose and a live rabbit and a live infant child.
Yeah, it's the whole kit and caboodle is in this one.
Wow.
I had some trouble hearing the children who were in this because I'm old and my hearing isn't good, and I probably should have gotten a hearing device.
Miracle Air.
One of the great littles, Annie McDonough, is in this play, and she plays Aunt Pat, who needs to be differentiated from Uncle Pat. And it goes on for over 3 hours. There's a 15-minute intermission. And I don't even, as I told Jeannie last night, I don't even remember the ending because there's a couple of acts happen very close to the actual end that knock you back. This is a great one. Am I wrong?
I believe when I saw it, I said it was the most exciting play I'd ever seen.
It's
At the
it's
end
something.
of the first act, you're breathless. At the end of the second act, you're on the edge of your chair. At the end of the third act, you've exploded.
Yeah, it's. I cannot recommend this highly enough. Annie McDonough is great in this. She plays a character who curses constantly,
They all
makes
do.
fun of everybody. Curses, even the kids. Makes fun of everyone, particularly her. I guess that's her brother, her younger brother, Uncle Pat, where she is Aunt Pat. It is generational. There's everything you could possibly want in a play is in this play, and it doesn't. It is not particularly predictable. You can see the arc of the play, but how they get there is really exciting and thrilling. And it's not just kids. You know, it's
The kids are not extras like little
No, they're
flippity gips
important.
around. I mean, some
They're
of
important.
their lines are hilarious.
yeah. So it's I would say that this is. If you want to see a play, Burn This is a limited run. You can get tickets to it, but it's a 4-month run, Bill, something like that? 4 or 5, yeah. And it's really worth it. But I think The Ferryman is one of those plays that you would say, you know, it's writ large. You know, it's a big deal. It started in England. The director of it is Sam Mendes, who won an Academy Award
do
for
American Beauty? Is that
American
him?
Beauty.
Argo,
Yeah.
I thought. Didn't no, that's I'm thinking of Tony Mendes. Yeah,
that's the guy in it. And the writer is Jez Buttersworth, and I don't know what else he's done.
I think he married an Irish woman, and that some of the core of this play is based on her family.
and it's physical. There's dancing there. It does not drive straight down the highway.
It does not.
It's really, really good. So those are my recollections,
Cool.
and I was very happy. Now Annie said, okay, I will tell this story. She said, why don't you come backstage after the play? I would love to meet you, because the fact that a big would see a little on stage is thrilling for me. So I did what I did the day before. I went to what I thought was the entrance to the stage itself. I saw an usher. He said, no, go over there. And I went to the other side where a guy had a list. And I said, and I was on the list the night before. I said, I'm here to see Ann McDonough. And he said, what is your name? I said, Tony Kornheiser. He says, you're not on the list. I said, I'm not on the list. He goes, "No,
Let me see that list.
you're
sir."
not on the list. I go, oh, what do I do? And he
Do you have
said,
a Dr. Hoff-Waff?
you
on
go
the list?
outside. You go outside and wait by the stage door. Well, I got outside and I saw something that might have been the stage door, but I didn't want to knock on it at that point because someone would look, who's this dope thinking he can get it? So I just said, you know what? It's not to be. And I went home. Now, Annie and I have been in communication about this particular thing. And at first she said, a lot of people wanted to meet you. Well, a few, well, me. You know.
She had that guy fired, though, right?
No, I don't know.
Absolutely.
You know,
I hope so.
Yes.
I don't really know what happened. I would love to have met her, but she's great in the play, and it's again, it ranges from like 8 and 9 years old to 75, and the parts written are great for everybody.
And there's poetry, there's music, but it all fits in
Yeah.
seamlessly.
And I think I know the answer to this question, but I have to ask at a running time of 3 hours. Does it feel
3:15.
long?
3:15.
Because this segment does. No, I'm kidding.
yeah,
But
this
does
segment, yeah.
it feel long? Not really?
no.
It moves?
No.
Not particularly.
That's cool.
The next time you go to New York to go see plays, and Bill, I don't know if you can get tickets for this. There's a very exciting new play
I don't want
coming
to see
up.
Aladdin.
No. It's called
Salty the Sea
Cats.
Cat?
No, it's called The Dog, the Lawn, and the Little House.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be brilliant.
So I don't,
Sounds
my
fascinating.
feeling about
Story
this,
of
I was
revenge.
really happy.
Aren't they all?
I was happy to see the plays. I mean, I had a really good time in New York. I was really happy to do this. I'm not going to do this again for a year or something like that. Yeah, maybe ever. I don't know. It was really nice. All right, we'll get out of here. We will have jingle and email when we return. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
This is the Tony Kornheiser Show.
Here comes Tony's mailbag. Got your emails, faxes, and your notes. Here comes Tony's mailbag. We're gonna read some for all of you folks. Love cheesery.
That is David Dallabritta from Fort Mill, South Carolina, and that is lovely. Let me thank Jason LaConfora of CBS Sports for coming on today, even though he rejected my idea of ping pong balls. I thought it was a good idea. Let me thank today's sponsors, Ethos and Quip. Remember to listen and subscribe to new and archived episodes of the Tony Kornheiser Show wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and Radio.com. If you listen to the show through iTunes, please leave us a review. We took some pictures just before, and someone said to me, I just flew in from the Midwest. And I said, where? He said, Toronto.
Toronto.
And by the way, shout out to our boy Rick Devens. Big night tonight on Survivor for Devens. It's
That's
portended by the naming of the episode La Cheeserie.
We think
So
he's
hope-
out.
And then the changing
Well,
of the name.
We think he's out.
Or he has a big,
Or he is a
big
survivor
win.
again.
Yeah, he's got a sense
Because
of
La
I
Cheeserie
wow.
to me
win.
strikes me as something he would yell after a major victory.
From Kathleen Dorgan, New York City. I saw it and heard Mr. Tony say he went. I hoped he used headphones as I had very good seats, as I'm sure Tony did, but those Northern Ireland accents are hard, and the play has so much dialogue and people. I hope Gene told him this. No, Gene did not tell me
Well,
that.
I did tell you that on the train home, I bought the play and read it because there had been things that I missed.
I missed the.
Is it
a
like
lot
Brad
of kids.
Pitt and Snatch?
No.
Were you just
No,
like,
no,
can't
no,
it's
no.
not
It's
that
just
bad.
it's hard, but
Oh,
it's great. And she said I grew up in D.C. I moved to New York in 1970. I did a reverse Tony and love them both, and that is about the ferryman. Jacob in St. Louis. My wife and I are taking a couple of trips soon, and we've decided we're not going to leave the Midwest. I was wondering if you could ask Wilbon if he has any advice since he's such an expert. We're planning a trip to the Grand Canyon next year, and then a jaunt over to Spain in 2021. Any help is appreciated. Eventually, we're hoping to save up for a trip to Italy, one of the crown jewels of Midwestern life. Sully from Boston, never revere. I think when Wilbon is saying shooting percentage doesn't matter, he's talking about how the playoffs are like jazz. It's about the shots you don't make.
That's a very good point.
Ridiculous. Matt from Traverse City, Michigan. Did anyone else catch what Michael Phelps mouthed into the camera while everyone was watching Tiger's reaction to his sensational shot on 16 at Augusta? I had to replay it numerous times, but I swore he said, sorry man, no room.
Yeah.
Then a wink into the camera and a little smirk. It seemed quite odd.
Yep.
Also, I have 16 stairs to my second story in my home.
Ooh, that's
Most have
good to
14,
know.
right?
Yeah.
Most have 14. Jeff Klein in Providence, Rhode Island. I attended an America East school ranked just ahead of the hated Stony Brook alphabetically. While there, I avoided taking a foreign language class, taking geography instead. So basically, I'm an expert at maths and stuff. Geographically speaking, if I've learned anything from your program, Wilbon should know the second T in Toronto is always silent. My guess is he's claiming Toronto for the Midwest because it's now known as the site of Dwayne Wade's third to last basketball game. Either way, please let him know that Toronto is actually east of Wade's Miami, Florida. East of Miami, Florida. In related news, this winter I started driving a car with a heated steering wheel. Now I know what sands on a Korean toilet feels like. Heated steering wheels are those things that when you get them in your car, you are amazed you ever lived without them.
You
You'll
think
do
it's so
anything,
frivolous.
but you will do anything
Yes.
to keep a heated steering wheel. They're so great. Dawn Ames in Kingston in Ontario, Canada. The top 3 songs played at funerals: 1, Danny Boy; 2, Spirit in the Sky; 3, Balding Jordan Spieth.
Well, yes, that
Brian
is true.
Hoffman in New York, New York. I live on Water Street, just feet from the South Street Seaport. Whether and to what extent a person enjoys or does not enjoy a particular neighborhood is subjective. I understand that. But please tell Wilbon that while this area is nice enough and the renovation of the Seaport has made it more popular, objectively speaking, there may be a dozen better neighborhoods to live in Manhattan. Battery Park, Chelsea, Murray Hill, the Upper East Side, just to name a few. In fact, I used to live right over the Brooklyn Bridge in Brooklyn Heights. Parenthetically, I add, I have never seen Wilbon walking across, and I found that area more pleasant than where I am now. Wilbon might want to restrict his neighborhood analysis to the Midwest, i.e. Toronto. These are such great emails. you know, like the great city planner, Michael Wilbon. Stop it. From James in Philadelphia, a co-worker of mine said he grew up in Northeast Philadelphia and had season tickets to the Flyers games at the old Spectrum in the 70s. He was about 10 at the time. He said an 85-year-old woman always sat next to him, and she taught him every word he's ever known. Philly. Bob K. in Gainesville, Florida. If Toronto's in the Midwest, do I need a passport when I go to Yosemite in Maine? These are fair questions, I think.
I think he
Yes.
realized as soon as that came out of his mouth, it was ridiculous, but he just decided
He
he
had
was
to
going to
double
down. Double down,
He sure
man.
did.
Yeah.
Persistent.
Sure did.
Stephen Swinehart, the Midwestern city of Columbus, Georgia. I'm sitting on Hilton Head Beach looking at the Atlantic Ocean and listening to you and Wilbon argue about whether or not Toronto is a Midwestern city. Fortunately, the globe is divided into longitudinal lines, and a quick search shows that Hilton Head is at 80.8 degrees, is farther west than Toronto at 79.4 degrees. That's right, a town on the eastern seaboard is farther west than Toronto. Furthermore, Atlanta, which would never be confused with a Midwestern city, is actually farther west than Detroit. As much time as Wilbon spends on his phone, you would figure he knew how to use Google. Thanks for all the years of enjoyment. My long since departed pops, turned me on to you in the early 90s. If you are out on your bike tonight, as always, please and do wear white.
You got to harvest your nuts right now, man.
There it is. Thank you.
touch of your